arrests earlier this week. Now, the disappearances are suspected to be connected to the recent anti-government protests. Gertrude Burgay has the details.
This is the stark reality faced by two families in Kitengela. Pictures of their loved ones and a myriad of unanswered questions. Among the missing are two brothers, Jamil and Aslam Longton, aged 42 and 36 respectively. They were reportedly abducted just meters from their home on Monday afternoon around 1:30 p.m. Witnesses claim that a white Subaru with four occupants identifying themselves as police officers blocked the brothers' car. The individuals then allegedly forced them into the vehicle's boot before speeding away.
Walikuwa wamekuja kuchukua ndugu yetu mdogo anaitwa Aslam Hashim. Lakini ili walipofungua gari wakutaka kumchukua, Jamil alikuwa anauliza wanampeleka wapi huyu. Sasa ile wakati wa kuulizana na yeye ndo akamchukua pia Jamil. Alikuwa na gari yetu ya nyumbani. Na hiyo ndio walikuwa Jamil anaendesha kitoka nayo nyumbani. Ule mtu mwenye aliona, witness aliona, alisema Subaru ilikuwa imekaa hapo ya white, ilikuwa KDQ, lakini namba mwisho ya kumalizia yote ilikaa sana hapo muda wakati Jamil alikuwa anatokea juu. Ilikuwa hapo na wanasema dereva hiyo gari alikuwa amevaa suit official na walikuwa karibu watu 4. Wamevaa officials.
Family members have reported that their efforts to locate their kin at various police stations have been unsuccessful.
Nasema hawana information yote kuhusu kuchukuliwa kwa Jamil wala huyu Aslam. OCS pia sema nimesema hiyo hivyo pia.
Nikipiga simu yao ishiki ni mteja mpaka saa hii.
In a similar incident, 47-year-old Bob Njagi was reportedly abducted by unknown individuals at Mlolongo while traveling to Kitengela from Nairobi on the same day.
Tulikuwa tufanye mkutano usiku sababu ya vijana kupotea na wengine kushikwa. Kwa hivyo wakaniambia natoka Nairobi, ilikuwa mwendo wa saa 4, tupatane Kitengela usiku saa 4. Tufanye mkutano tujue ni kwa nini wengine wanashikwa, wengine wanapotezwa na wengine wetu tunaanza kufuatwa. Mahali tunaenda unaona unafuatwa nyuma. Akapanda gari kutoka Nairobi, alipanda Rembo Shuttle, lakini kufika Mlolongo, gari hiyo ya Rembo Shuttle ilisimamishwa. Watu wakaingia ndani ya hiyo gari, walikuwa wamejifunika uso, wakaweza kumpiga, wakamchukua, wakamweka kwa Subaru, na kutoka hiyo wakati hajaweza kuonekana tena.
Friends of Njagi, a prominent human rights activist, fear he may have been taken by the police due to his active participation in the recent protests.
Tumezunguka na familia pia, police stations karibu zote, Machakos, Nairobi, Kajiado. Wote wanakataa kwamba hawajamuarrest na wote wanasema hawajamdetain. Mimi ningependa niulize serikali, are we safe and who is next?
Families of the trio are now urging concerned agencies to disclose the whereabouts of their missing relatives as their phones remain switched off. The populous Kitengela town has been a hotspot for intense and often violent anti-government protests in recent weeks. Gertrude Burgay, K24 TV.
Now, away from that, Nairobi court has granted bail to 5 police officers accused of aiding the escape of 13 prisoners from the Gigiri police station, including Collins Jumaisi, the primary suspect in the murder of 42 women found in Nairobi's Quarry area. Now, Judge Martha Nanzushi has set their bail at 200,000 shillings each. Ruby Mondi reports.
Despite a request from the Director of Public Prosecutions to detain the suspects for an additional 14 days as the investigations continue, Milimani Chief Judge Martha Nanzushi has ordered their release. The officers are required to report to the DCI offices twice a week until the investigation is completed.
Respondents be and hereby admitted to bail on the following terms. Each respondent shall execute a personal bond of 200,000 shillings each with one surety. The surety shall also execute a personal bond of 100,000 shillings on behalf of each respondent, and they are to ensure the attendance of the respondents to the office of the investigating officer.
Judge Nanzushi cautioned the suspects against interfering with the investigation. Those released include Corporal Ronald Babo and Constables Evans Kipkirui, Zachary Nyabuto, Millicent Achieng and Gerald Mutuku. The decision was based on insufficient reasons provided by the prosecution for extended detention.
By them not objecting to being detained, the court reads a sign of good faith and their willingness to cooperate with the investigating officers in this investigation. The reasons advanced for detaining them are not compelling.
James Gashoka told the court that the officers allegedly facilitated the escape of the prisoners on August 20th under unclear circumstances. The DCI is calling on the public to provide any information on the suspect's whereabouts through its hotline at 0800 722 203 or the police hotlines 999 911 and 112. Information can also be reported at any police station nationwide. Robbie Omondi, K24.
Right, thank you, Robbie Omondi, for that particular report. Moving on. Now, members of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Committee have fiercely defended the fund amid ongoing debates about its legality. Led by Honorable Musa Sirma, the MPs highlighted the NGCDF's role in supporting needy learners and improving school infrastructure. Now, speaking during the distribution of NGCDF's bursaries in Dagoretti North, they urged Kenyans to protect this vital resource while emphasizing the importance of parental contribution to cover remaining school fees. The committee also encouraged students to understand and navigate the new university funding model to access necessary government support.
Hawa watu wote wako hapa kwa sababu ya kazi nzuri ya wote. Kupata mtu anasema kwamba CDF should go, hajui ni nani anajaribu kuharibia maisha. CDF ndio pesa ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Nimeona hapa kuna mtoto wetu anafanya medicine thanks to CDF.
Watoto wa form 4 nikaona nijaribu sana nisaidie wazazi watoto wakae shuleni wasikuje sana nyumbani. Lakini mimi nataka niombe wazazi, si ati nikitoa hivi na wewe uende ukae nyumbani, ende utafute kidogo uende umalizie mtoto akasikuje nyumbani. Haina maana mimi nifanye na wewe ufanye mtoto arudi nyumbani. Tuko pamoja?
Tuko hapa kuhakikisha kwamba kazi ambayo inafanywa katika constituencies inafanyika vizuri, kwa maana sisi ni wasimamizi. Mheshimiwa Beatrice ni memba wa kamati ambaye mimi ni mwenyekiti, na nataka niseme yeye anafanya kazi nzuri.
Now, away from that, Azimio leader, that is Raila Odinga, has called on developed countries to keep their promises of providing funds to developing nations in the fight against climate change. Now, as Ian Ketani reports, Odinga lamented the lack of funding to African countries and pledged to prioritize the fight against climate change if elected as the African Union Commission chairperson.
As countries across the globe prepare for COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, set to take place in 2 months' time, ODM chief Raila Odinga has called upon developed nations to honor their commitment of delivering $100 billion pledged to African countries to help in mitigating the effects of climate change during COP15 in Copenhagen.
One such fundamental issue is the promise by the rich countries to play their part and help the countries that contribute the least in greenhouse gas emissions into adaptation. Because of the failure to translate the promises into reality, Africa as a continent still has challenges with access to some of the climate finance sources. Consequently, Africa can only access 4% of the climate finances, which is way below the impactful finance.
Speaking during a meeting that brought together various stakeholders to deliberate on increased funding for African countries in the fight against climate change, Odinga decried the deficiency in current funding levels. He promised to spearhead efforts for more substantial support, if at all he secures the AUC chairmanship position.
Access to the finances remains one of the biggest challenges in responding to climate change. African Union should be able to speak more effectively on behalf of the interests of Africa if the African government give it the power and the mandate to do so. And that's the reason why I have offered myself to run for the position of African Union chairmanship. I hope that I will be able to use that position effectively to represent Africa, to make sure that Africa claims this century.
Odinga was joined by Cabinet Secretaries Aden Bare Duale, Ali Swahome and John Badi, who backed his bid for the AUC chairmanship.
if there is anyone Africa needs to champion as a champion of issues of climate change, then that person is none other than Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
We know our candidate. We know his experience. We know his capabilities. We are presenting a tested, experienced African statesman.
Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Right, that is the nature of politics in the country. Away from matters politics to something different, matters health. Now, Kenya declared the Mpox outbreak on July 31st following the confirmation of one case in Taita Taveta County. Now, the patient, however, was discharged from Taita Taveta sub-county hospital. Now, the government has put measures in ensuring that the Kenya border is safe, with visitors and residents going through screening and hand washing, with Kenyans calling on more public awareness of the deadly virus.
At the Kenya Uganda one-stop border post, those coming in from Uganda's side are forced to wash their hands and take temperature tests by walking through these machines, with health officials following the strict guidelines. When the alarm is set off, one is forced to wait for a while before taking another walk through the machine that has a camera that detects the high temperatures. According to Paul Kabi, the health officer in charge at the Malaba one-stop border, at least 800 people are tested every day, saying they are ready for any eventuality, as he called on those using the border to follow the strict health guidelines.
Actually, this disease is preventable if all measures can be done to hand wash all the time and avoid contacts with any suspicious case. Anybody who has presented with any case, you avoid contact because it is a contagious disease. Anybody who has those lesions, you avoid contact with such a person.
Though the testing has been ongoing for some time, most of those going through the screening don't understand why or what Mpox is all about.
Sijaona chochote.
Je, umeweza kupimwa? Kuna ugonjwa unaitwa Mpox. Je, umeweza kupimwa ukaangaliwa?
Ni mzuri, tunaona mkono, tunakuja tukiwa wasafi.
Nikamwambia mimi osha mkono, ukimaliza osha mkono ipita tu hivi. Akamwambia mimi hivi, nikafuata tu hivi.
Public participation is needed. It's awareness. Kupeana watu habari na ujumbe kuhusu hii ugonjwa wa Mpox, kwa sababu watu wengi hata waelewi, wanafikiria ni ugonjwa wa zamani ya utoto, ile ukitokwa na hizo vitu inaitwaje, hiyo ugonjwa ya kawaida, lakini kulingana na vile inaonekana hii ugonjwa si ya kawaida.
Truck drivers have not been left out, with long queues experienced for more than 5 kilometers all the way from Kocholia to Malaba border. The drivers say there is need for the government to expedite the process because it takes one at least 24 hours to get over the 5-kilometer jam.
Hii jam iko kama kilomita 15 hivi. Sasa huwezi jua nini inaendelea huko mbele, na mimi naona inasoka pole pole inanyamaza. Sasa hatuwezi jua delay iko wapi.
Ni kwa nini itumie muda mrefu hivi juu? Sasa kama jamu kama hii kija, inafaa pia serikali inaharakisha. Kama ni kupima watu wanapimwa, wapimwe na waondoke, isiwe ikawa ndio inaifanya foreni ikawa kubwa.
Paul says his Kenyan and Uganda counterparts are working hand in hand to ensure the safety of the locals, though the residents are worried of the porous border. For some people use panya routes where testing isn't done.
See, this is a one-stop border post whereby those trucks going to Uganda will not stop here. They will go and stop in Uganda. And those ones coming to Kenya will not stop in Uganda. They'll just come straight to Kenya side. And this is when we do the screening on the Kenyan side, those who are coming. Those who are going to Uganda will be done by Uganda at the other side.
Lakini sasa siona wakipima sababu kienda pale railways kuna wale wanapita mkuu huko, kuna wale wanapita upande huko.
ambapo sijaona wakiweka hiyo vitipiti ya kupima watu.
At least 6 people have been flagged with mpox virus in Kenya, with one being positively tested, treated and discharged. But the Ministry of Health is not taking anything for granted. John Makuba, K24 TV, Malaba Border.
Have you watched K24? We would love to hear from you. Send us your